Ladies and gentlemen, fellas, welcome back to the channel for the week 4 betting video. 5 bets that I have in, recording this on Tuesday afternoon to release on Wednesday morning. So we're going to take a couple of totals, and this is not going to include any of my player props. Player props will have all throughout the week. I usually put a thread out. In the last couple of weeks, I've taken 20, 25, depending on the week. Player props for the Monday, Thursday night games, and also the main slates on Sunday. This will be strictly my spreads and totals betting, and I'm going to have way more exposure on player props because there's way more leans on there as opposed to spreads and totals where there's only a couple of leans in a given week. You just have to maximize how much you actually want to get down on them. So have a couple of totals, have a couple of spreads. Last week we ended up going, I believe, 3-2, might have been 2-3, depending on what the closing number ended up being and where you got it. On the over-under for Arizona's game, I mean, it ended at 50, over-under's at 50 for a push, depending on where you got it. 51 in some spots is where it closed at. So let's get into week 4 now, and if you like this video at any point, please do smack around the subscribe button. So we'll start it off with my first bet of the week, one that I do indeed like, and this number might get even higher because people love taking overs, so when you're taking unders you get a little bit of a benefit. The first bet I have is the under 53.5. I got that on FanDuel. It's at 53 in a lot of spots, but 53.5 on FanDuel, of the Cleveland Browns and Minnesota Vikings game. Look, this is two teams that ideally want to run the ball. I mean, we know for a fact Cleveland, with again the top offensive line in the league so far for run blocking, the number 2 ranked according to Pro Football Focus run offense, we know what they want to do. We know that they want to run the ball. That's the whole point of the Kevin Stefanski offense. But so does the Minnesota Vikings. They want to run the ball. And Kirk Cousins has 8 of their 9 touchdowns on offense this year. He won't continue to have an 8-to-1 pass to rush touchdown ratio. They're going to start to run the ball when they don't get in these shootout type of environments like Arizona. And Cleveland and their defense and what they're able to do with their front, I would expect to take some heat off playing too high, more running to Dalvin Cook if he's healthy, or Alexander Madison, because you saw Madison be able to handle that last week, only 1 yard away from being the leading rusher on the Sunday slate, 1 yard behind Derrick Henry. So Cleveland comes in with a top 5 run blocking unit and a rush offense, and also a top 5 unit in terms of their defensive line right now. Cleveland ranks number 1 in rushing EPA, and Minnesota is going to rank around average in rushing EPA, and they just haven't had the ability to get more volume there because of the Cook injury and because of just trailing in a lot of these games. You finally saw that tilt a little bit last week when you saw the rushing attack go on and you saw the more 2 tight end sets and Tyler Conklin being involved more often over so of KJ Osborne because of the fact that they were able to actually run the ball. So these two teams want to run the ball a lot, meaning that the milk clock off the top, these two teams who, oh yeah, the most important stat here, both rank bottom 5 in situational pace, neutral situational pace, meaning that these are 2 of the 5 slowest teams in the NFL in terms of how many plays they get off in a game when the game is not in a shootout or they're playing from behind and have to pass when it's a neutral game script. And both teams are pretty solid at limiting the opposing quarterback's success so far per drop back, meaning that chunk plays are likely not to be there in this matchup. So a 53.5 total. I mean, I thought this game would probably open around 50. Seeing where it opens right now, we're taking the under here, and we're going to go ahead and snag it over on, and you can take this right now on OddsJam. OddsJam is a tool that I use to shop my lines for a bunch of different types of stuff, not just over-unders or spreads, but you can shop your lines right here, and you can see where you can get it right now. You can see that it's over under 52. You can still see the 53 is still here. If you want to snag some nice numbers on the 53, look at this. DraftKings is offering a -110 on the under 53.5. That is basically exactly the price that I got it at. I got it on FanDuel. You can get it at -106 at under 53.5 right now. I got it at -110 on FanDuel, under 53.5. As of this recording, you can still get it there. This is the spot to get it. Go on OddsJam right now. They have some other tools as well on OddsJam if you want to check them out. Arbitrage, middling numbers. They show you exactly where there's situations in the betting market from different sports books where if you place on one line and you place it on the other side on the other, you're guaranteed to not lose money. But if it middles in the middle of it and you are, say you're in between for a 55 total, you can actually hit both bets on that because you can be under maybe a 56 and over 54 on one site. You middle the number, you double your money. Worst case scenario, you just break even. They'll show you notifications in situations where that's possible. It's a pretty cool product. You can check it out as well over on OddsJam. So that's where I would go with my first bet early on. That's where I would take it at the under 53.5. That is probably, it's up there as like a top 3 favorite bet. I know a lot of people will rank this is my favorite bet of the week. I have like 3 that stand out of these 5. That's one of them. The second one, and this one is right there as maybe the one that I like the most, is Arizona right now. You're getting +6. I picked this one up at DraftKings. +6 against the Rams. Now the Rams in the primetime spot at 4 p.m. just knocked off Tampa Bay, and they did it with ease. Like the closing score of that game was not even as close. The Rams played a lot of soft shells in the fourth quarter. It was a blowout. So So obviously the Rams are fantastic, but 6 points, this should be a 3-point spread in my opinion. 6 points is a lot here. The Rams are stacked, but Arizona is no slouch by any means. And the Rams ranked number 1 in offensive EPA, but Arizona ranks top 5, number 4 in offensive EPA. Okay, well, the Rams are good on defense. Well, they're number 11 in defensive EPA when the Arizona Cardinals, number 5 in defensive EPA. This is a top 5 overall complete team through 3 weeks in the NFL in this Arizona Cardinals team. And the Rams are right there as well. They're up there in the top 5. But these are two teams that are evenly matched in my opinion. I mean, you're getting the number 1 pass blocking advantage. I put a tweet out. You can check my tweet right here. Follow me on Twitter at DFS. I mean, right now, the Cardinals are number 1 in pass protection according to Pro Football Focus through the first 3 weeks. And the Rams struggle to they struggle in stopping efficient quarterbacks. They're number 22 in drop back EPA, meaning every time a quarterback drops back. Whereas Kyler Murray is number 4 in EPA as a quarterback and combined with his completion percentage over expectation. He is playing very efficient right now, going up against a defense that, if anything, this Rams defense is solid, but they do struggle to stop efficient play, as many defenses do, but the Rams do, because it's basically Aaron Donald and Ramsey, and if Donald isn't getting there and you go to another side where Ramsey is not there, it's usually a nice spot for you as a quarterback. And that also factors in Kyler Murray's rushing upside as well in terms of his overall EPA. So that's a nice spot to be in, but on defense, again, they're no slouch up front. These are 2 strong offensive lines and 2 solid pass rushes. Right now, you have Arizona ranking as the number 2 pass rush so far. Thank you, Chandler Jones, against the number 2 pass protection unit in the Rams. Look, I think that these two teams are very similar. It might come down to the fact that Arizona is top 5 right now in rushing EPA, and the Rams can stop the run. It might come down to that. Can they stop just any type of semblance of a running game, and mainly Kyler Murray? But based on all these numbers, there's no advantage. There's no insane advantage that the Rams have right now over, and maybe you can say it's wide receivers. I would disagree with you there. I don't see the insane advantage that the Rams have. Of course, Aaron Donald is an advantage every week, and Jalen Ramsey is fantastic. But if we're talking about how these teams play as a unit, not individual personnel, there's not an insane advantage. Not one where a +6 is justified. I got it at +3. We can check on OddsJam right now where you can currently get this number. And I said I got it at +3. I got it at +6. And the +6 is out there. The +6 is the number to get right now. You can get it basically wherever the hell you want. This is the +6 on the Rams right now. You can get it over on DraftKings. You can get it over on FanDuel. Right now, if you want to get it on DraftKings and FanDuel, it's going to be a -115. FanDuel's a -114. I got it on DraftKings. DraftKings is offering it right now at -125. So there's some juice coming in there, meaning you should take it on FanDuel. It's cheaper. It's basically like $11 cheaper for $100 you bet to get it on FanDuel right now. You can get it on, if you have access to like Elite Sportsbooks or Fox Bet, some better numbers there. That's on OddsJam. So that's interesting. I'm also curious to see what the money line on this game is right now. So you can get, I mean, depending on where you look, you can get right now on Bet Online at +215. That's the best number I'm seeing right now. But DraftKings is +200 for the money line. I'm not totally against putting a money line wager on this at +200, especially because this number probably comes down to like +160, +150 before lock comes. Obviously, I like Arizona +6, but I'm not against going money line here at +200. I think this is a really good spot. These are two evenly matched teams, and there's some juice coming in because of their win in the primetime game against the Bucs. And it was an impressive win. This is an impressive team. But now you're getting the Cardinals to come to town, who are also an impressive team. So those are the two bets that I like a lot. The final 3 bets, the third one is going to be Detroit +3 versus Chicago. And this one might be on like the square side of it if you want to play the whole sharps and the fish and versus the squares. Like Chicago, 47 yards of offense, looked terrible last week. They don't even know who they're starting at quarterback this week because of how bad it looked, and if Dalton's healthy, and Justin Fields has a hand problem going on right now. And it almost seems like the obvious public bet to take Detroit +3 here, because Detroit just loses on a 66-yard field goal late. They compete for the first 3 quarters with the Packers. They come back late against the 49ers. Like, this is a team that is scrappy, looking for their first win, and now they get the team in Chicago, where I think Detroit might be the better team if you're talking about money lines here. So I did take them +3. It does feel a little bit like an obvious bet, but sometimes that's how this works out. Chicago right now is second worst in offense in terms of their EPA. Their offensive EPA, they're the second worst offense in the NFL. And you might think, all right, well, at least they're good defense. No. Not at all. This defense right now ranks bottom 30th in the NFL in allowing the opposing team to be successful per dropback. Number 30 in QB success rate right now is what this defense is allowing. This is a bad offense, a bad defense, borderline one of the worst teams in the NFL. They're bottom 5 right now in terms of what they're allowing in the rushing yards department. And oh yeah, DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, one of the better two-headed backfields through the first 3 weeks, are coming to town. And then you factor in that where Detroit has maybe been best overall, their offensive line is the best unit on their team, but their defensive line has been quietly ranked number 7 in pressure generating through 3 weeks. And you get a defensive line that just allowed, or offensive line for the Bears that just allowed 9 sacks and way more pressure than those 9 sacks last week against another good defensive front in the Browns. So the Lions, who rank 22nd in offensive efficiency, but when you break it down a little bit more, they look top 15 in overall success rate on the ground. Jared Goff is number 17 in success rate per dropback right now. So when you break it down, this is a better offense so far, a much better offense, both when you factor in the running game, the offensive line for sure, and the quarterback play and the wide receiver. All this is a much better offense. The only thing that the Bears have right now is Allen Robinson, but they can't utilize him. So when you look at this, it's a better offense, and it's even a better defense so far. It's not saying much. The Lions on defense are not great, but they have a pass rush. Their secondary, when it's going to zone right now, is holding up for parts of the game. So this is a better team. The Detroit Lions are a better team. I get it. I get where you're getting right now from Chicago at home. On a neutral field, this would be a coin flip. I understand that. You're getting a home field advantage of these 3 points. So I'll take the 3 points because I think they are the better team. And if you wanted to just go get the money line, a plus 135 money line is not a terrible bet here for what I consider the better team right now. Been in all 3 of their games. You get it at plus 35 basically everywhere right now. Depending on where you want to get it, it really doesn't matter. It's available everywhere at this point. Fox Bet, FanDuel plus 130, Fox Bet plus 135, Borgata plus 135. That's where I would probably go with that if you want to look at the money line. Otherwise, on OddsJam, the best numbers are going to be at that plus 3. Right now, Detroit plus 3. Basically, wherever you're looking is like minus 115. You can get some nicer numbers if you're looking on FanDuel right now. FanDuel and DraftKings are offering some of the best numbers, but FanDuel is at minus 115. That's probably your best number you're going to find right now for availability reasons. If you have some availability to bet Fred, go for it, but probably not. FanDuel at minus 115 over DraftKings if you have the luxury of having both of those sports books. This is where you should get it as of this recording. Of course, shop your lines, which is why OddsJam is a partner now of the show, because they're very helpful in terms of allowing us to quickly shop our lines and not having to go individually to every single sports book and click what is that line and then have these 10 browsers up. It's all right there on the dashboard. Makes it very easy no matter what you're betting on. Check it out down below, oddsjam.com. The final 2 bets. The 4th bet of the day is going to be Carolina plus 5 versus Dallas. And I can see this one going either way, of course, but these are 2 evenly matched teams. Now we'll see how important the J.C. Horn, who's on IR, they just traded for C.J. Henderson now, Carolina, but we'll see how important that loss of J.C. Horn, who was playing great, the rookie for them, is. They had some other defensive injuries in that game. Both of these teams, terrible on defense a year to 2 years ago, great on defense so far this year. Like, this is a 50.5 over under. I'm tempted to make my 6th bet outside of some of these money lines we've talked about, the under in this game, because this is not the same Cowboys offense you once saw. You don't have to have Dak Prescott pressuring because they're getting turnovers at this point, right? They're getting pick sixes like in the Monday Night Football game, and they're just holding the other teams down so the Cowboys aren't forced to throw 50 times a game like week 1 against Tampa Bay. You're not seeing that as much. This defense and the secondary looks solid, and Micah Parsons, even though they don't have Lawrence on the defensive line, he's looking like a direct replacement, if not better for him right now. Diggs in the secondary looks great. But 5 points for Carolina for evenly matched teams. I do think this spread should be 3 points. I think this should be a 3-point spread similar to Arizona. And at that point, I probably wouldn't touch it, and I would lean the over-under in the under 50 or 50.5. But at plus 5, I think we're getting 2 points here by the end of the week. Carolina is the number 1 defense through the first 3 weeks in EPA. And now they get the number 10 offense in Dallas. So that's a pretty nice matchup there. But on the flip side of this one, you have Dallas being the number 8 defense. Yeah, it's a top 10 defense so far through 3 weeks. And expected points added. Versus Carolina, who's number 12 on offense. So these are 2 solid teams coming to town to face each other. Carolina is top 5 in pass rush versus Dallas is number 14 pass protection. And Carolina has the number 2 secondary so far. Again, you're losing C.J. Horn. You're bringing in another first-round pick who has struggled, C.J. Henderson, after the trade for Dan Arnold and some draft capital, but better than just a replacement-level player who's going in there. So you have that number 2 secondary versus the Dallas Cowboys' top 12 borderline passing offense. This is some evenly matched teams. Again, I think the spread should be plus 3 here. As long as you're trying to take this wager right now and the spread is not plus 3, I would advocate for taking Carolina plus 5, and I lean the under in this game of about 50.5, 51.50, depending on where you see it. And you can see right here the Carolina plus 5 on oddsjam.com. You can see that it's the bet, right? It's the minus 110 bet, basically wherever you want to get it. Right now, the best number you're going to get is minus 110. It is the bet to get. You're going to get the best odds on DraftKings, on FanDuel. You can kind of just get whatever you want. Fox Bet here, BetMGM, BetUSA, every single thing that you're looking at right here, all these plus 110s, that is for the Carolina Panthers plus 5. That is going to be your best number. Get it before the line moves, because my guess is the line will move. You had the Dallas Cowboys just beat and blow out their division rivals, the Eagles, who are probably not that good, but blow them out on Monday Night Football. You already have, so that's prime time, you already have the brand of the Cowboys, and in general, everybody wanting to bet on the Cowboys, and I think this is skewing it away from the Carolina Panthers, who I think teams and people are starting to believe in, the public is starting to believe in, right? This Sam Darnold experiment with Joe Brady and the this offense. But the public sees that Christian McCaffrey is hurt, not on IR, so probably doesn't play this week, but he's hurt. He's hurt. They might have some still disbelief in Sam Darnold. And when you compare the brand of the Panthers to the brand of the Cowboys, and the last thing you saw from week 3 football was the Cowboys spanking around the Eagles, I think it's easy to see why there's a little bit more of a number here. I think it gets closer to +3 by the end of the week. And now my final wager is going to be, as a Packers fan, I think this is where the right number is. It's +7 on Pittsburgh. What is everybody saying right now? Big Ben is washed. He's done. Big Ben is the worst. And yeah, he didn't look great in that game. But that was also a game where they were trailing. But that was also a game where it was competitive for the large majority of the game. Like, they end up losing in that game 24-10. So they lose 14 points in what is potentially the worst outcome. And now you should probably get Deontay Johnson back this week. And maybe TJ Watt and Devin Bush and some of these players start to get healthier for you, and Joe Hayden starts to come back, right? You can actually get that defense back up into order. But this Steelers team, you're getting +7 with them. And I do think the Packers win this game. I'm not interested in the money line here. But the Steelers team is still pretty solid. The Steelers are ranking right now number 14 in defensive EPA. So they're around average on defense, and that's with missing TJ Watt for a game and a half and Devin Bush for 2 games, right? Some of their best players. Where the Packers offense, although we saw them in primetime look nice, and these last 2 weeks they've looked solid, if you're talking about efficiency on a per play basis, it's number 16. This is just an average offense so far. When it needs to click, it clicks. All right, they target 19 times Devontae Adams. The next closest guy is 4 targets on Sunday night. But it's not dialing on all cylinders nonstop in these games. They're not scoring 34, 35 points in these games, right? So you get the Steelers with a solid defense against what should be a solid offense. That's a good matchup right there. On the opposite side of this one, though, yeah, the Steelers offense ranks 25th right now, but they're going to get Deontay Johnson, the number 1 target, back. They're going to have the best matchup they'll have on the ground so far for Najee Harris, who's not getting much. And they get the biggest weakness on this Packers team, which is their defense. They rank 27th, borderline bottom 5, 6th worst team through 3 weeks in defensive EPA, expected points added. This is yet again another bad Packers defense, and it stems from the pass rush. They don't have Zadarius Smith. He's injured right now. They're not getting any pressure so far, which is leaving time for what is a good secondary in Green Bay. Eric Stokes looks to be a solid first-round pick early on, an upgrade from Kevin King for sure. Jair on the other side. The safeties and Darnell Savage and Amos are solid units back there, but when there's no pressure on the quarterback, it's going to be tough for those secondary guys to stick on the defenders. And that's what's happening right now. So this Packers secondary, this Packers defense in general, is not that great against a not great Pittsburgh offense, but we're getting 7 points here. So I'll take my chances with Deontay Johnson coming back that they'll be able to move the ball and also be able to hold on the Packers. This game is in Green Bay, but what you're getting right now for the Packers defense is they continue to struggle defending the pass, allowing a 57% success rate to the opposing quarterback, 3rd worst in the NFL. And Pittsburgh is top 10 right now at limiting the opposing quarterback's success rate. And Rodgers so far, the last 2 weeks, has been more successful, of course, than week 1, but Rodgers is still right now borderline top 10 in efficiency and number 14 in success rate. It's not like he's been insanely elite this year. He's been solid the last 2 games, but not insanely elite. Just when he has to turn it on, he's turned it on. So I think we're going to get another narrative here, kind of like Dallas. You're going to get this narrative of, Pittsburgh looks like shit. They're terrible. And I don't think they're that great this year, but I don't think it's proper for how good their defense is and how bad the Packers defense is. I don't think it's proper to lay a +7 number here. I think the spread in this game should probably be closer to like a +6 to +5. So we'll take Pittsburgh +7. We'll take that as our 5th option. You can go ahead, of course, and you can snag that right now. I'm not interested in the money line, but you go ahead. You can see all the other things that you can look at for odds comparisons here. First half money line, win margin by a certain amount of points. The totals, the point spread, of course, by quarter, the win margin. But the Steelers +7 is still the bet, depending on where you want to get it. You can get a pretty solid number out there. I mean, the -115s are out there on Bovada right now. You're getting the -118s, the -118s, the -120s over on FanDuel. I'd probably take the -118 right now on FanDuel. I mean, if you really want the 115 on Bovada and you trust Bovada, you can go ahead and get it. I'll stay away from some of the offshore books when I can actually, if you have the luxury of sticking to some of these onshore. Fox Bet -120, 118 on FanDuel. DraftKings doesn't have a number out as of right now of this recording, but that's where I would go with the +7 on the Steelers. Thanks to OddsJams, our partner. Use them for all of your odds comparisons, no matter what the odds is. If you're sports betting, pull it up. oddsjams.com. It's as simple as that. So there's my 5 bets. A 5-finger schmack for all of you beautiful people out there. Best of luck on your bets this week. We're here in week 4. Videos dropping daily on the channel. I'd like to ask you one more time to hit the subscribe button. If you made it all the way through, it really does help my channel grow. And the like button. I appreciate you for tuning in. Check out the sponsor of the show, OddsJam. And I'll see you all you beautiful people, in the next video.